Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe even a good overnight. I don't know where you are, and I don't know when you're listening to these videos, but I do know that I'm happy you're here, and I hope you're well. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome you to Search for Signs if you're new, and of course, welcome you back if you've been here before. I'm glad to see you too. And for anybody who's interested in knowing more about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, about his priorities, about why it's important that Maitreya and these Masters are coming back into our lives at this particular time, I've included links to websites that give you really good background information about that very thing. So they're free, they're there for if you want. Now I want to thank JPA, Thomas Otto, and Mark Hill for commenting since the last time I put a video up. Thank you guys. And you can comment too. You can post your question in the comment section. You can email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. That's the way you can join the discussion, or you can simply just listen and not say anything too. You can do that too. That's fine. Now, typically I try to answer people's questions or address comments that come my way, and that's kind of how I formulate and build on the next video and so forth. Now, from time to time, I'll read articles coming from one of these masters that were published in Share International magazine. Now, I want to kind of set this up because I just want to read this article entitled The New Simplicity coming from Benjamin Creme's master. But one thing that I want to say is very important. It's far better for you to read these articles for yourself than to hear me try to read it to you. You can read some of these articles, maybe not this one per se, but you can read some of these articles by going to the Share International site. Link is in the description, and then to the left is a tab that's entitled Articles by the Master. Far better for you to read it that way than to hear somebody try to read it to you. Or you can buy the book that I'm reading it from, The Master Speaks, if you want to do that. But you don't have to. You can start by checking out these articles on this website. But the other thing I want to say is that this particular master worked through Benjamin Creme for decades and published these articles. So I'm not giving you any kind of, inside track on anything. You can read this for yourself. But I do find these articles to be very insightful, to be very enlightening. But it's, like I said, you'll find them more enlightening and more insightful if you read them yourself. And then I also want to say, just kind of set this up, because this article is entitled The New Simplicity. But we're living in a world today where, of course, there's no peace. There's extreme divisions economically, politically, between nations, within nations, even within groups and so forth. All people are fighting for what they think is rightfully theirs and so forth, based on what they see as either just or unjust and all that kind of stuff. So, but we're also living in a world, and this is something that people don't really take into account with all these other problems that we're facing, that we're also living in a world where nations hoard resources from other nations. And some nations have an excessive amount of resources that they are hoarding, far more than they really deserve. And some of those imperialist nations have gone so far as even to steal resources from other nations and keep it from them, or use it against them even in some instances. So there's no wonder that we're living in a world where nations don't trust one another, where there's no justice to speak of, no peace at all, really. And, of course, where we are endangering the future of humanity by continuing to live in this way. Our world leaders want to keep it this way because that's what they've known and what's comfortable for them, that's kept them in power. But the people are waking up to the injustice of this, are waking up to injustice in their own way, waking up for the need for peace, waking up for the need to start doing something about our environment and that kind of thing. Now, Maitreya says, without sharing, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. And without peace, there will be no future. So we have to look at the first part of that, which is sharing. And I offer up evidence all the time about the Marshall Plan. So I'm not going to talk about that necessarily right now, but you can listen to it in other videos I put up where I talk about the Marshall Plan, or you can investigate it for yourself. But that was one time where the United States tried the principle of sharing, and it worked amazing wonders on not only Europe, but also in the United States. But it did bring about a goodwill relationship between the nations that participated in it. Now, the other thing, too, is the future. What does that mean, having a future? Is it more of the same? That might be a question that you might ask yourself, right, by hearing that. It's not. It's a future that's far more glorious, really, than we could possibly imagine, because it involves the manifestation of love on planet Earth. And it only comes from the principle of sharing. But I wanted to read this article I don't want to comment on it while I'm reading it, and I definitely want to comment about it afterwards. I just wanted to kind of set it up. But it's entitled The New Simplicity, written by Benjamin Creme's master. There will come a time in the not too distant future when men will know with certainty that they are gods. This achieved divinity will demonstrate itself as brotherhood, and through the creation of a civilization in which humanity will unfold God-given faculties and powers. Under the stimulus of the Christ and the Masters, men will find themselves the recipients of knowledge and insights which will open before their eyes vistas of new being and meaning. Inevitably, as a result, will flow the creation of new forms, new techniques of living and working, new methods of production, and new goals and aims by which to measure man's achievements. An entirely new approach to life will express itself through new relationships and rituals. At first, the changes will be slow, but gradually, far-reaching changes will transform the world. Each nation will contribute its special gifts to a new world harmony. Above all, a new spirit of goodwill will motivate men's actions and lead to the creation of truly lasting peace. Thus will it be. Thus will the desire of all nations be established in our midst. Thus will the sons of men come to know themselves as sons of God. Many today await the manifestation of a great teacher, an avatar, a guide, one who will take them safely through the labyrinth of present difficulties and dangers and lead them to the promised land, a land, quote, flowing with milk and honey, unquote, a land of plenty, of abundance. This vision of the teacher is not entirely false, but reflects an outlook of deep materialism. Abundance there will most certainly be, bringing new life to men on all the planes. This quote-unquote new life is the spiritual gift of cosmos focused through the Christ and presented to all men. But a land of plenty could be every man's today. No need is there to await the avatar to right the present wrongs. No need for a savior is there when men can save himself. Quote, take your brother's need as the measure for your action and solve the problems of the world, unquote. Thus spoke the Christ, outlining the simple steps to justice and plenty for all. Many await the avatar to cure their personal ills, forgetting that they themselves have the cure within their hands. No man is an island, nor was meant to be. And when the needs of all are met, the individual will flourish. Prosperity is a state where no man lacks, where there is neither very rich nor very poor. Far from this blessed state are men today, when luxury and starvation walked hand in hand. A new simplicity will the Christ present to men, allowing them to share as brothers all. Cooperation will be the keynote of this simple life. The sharing of resources, the order of the day. Thus will man's divinity be expressed, and thus will the plan work out through men. There begins now a great adventure for men, which will take them to the highest heights. In simplicity will the new life be known and lived, rich and full in meaning and purpose. From the waters of life of Aquarius will flow that spiritual abundance for which all men in their hearts yearn. In this way, a new approach will be made to the problems of money and power, privilege and prestige. The desire to serve will replace the desire for gain, and the longing for justice will divisive greed. Each one has a part to play in the creation of this new freedom. It behooves all who sense the happenings of the time to play well their role. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.